For our junior service learning project, we all wanted to share something personal to all four of us. Mental health has had a major impact in our lives, along with countless others in high school. Especially in the last few years of the pandemic, it could have been a lot easier for all of us, so why not focus on that? Well, when we were putting together this project, a lot of the feedback we got was people not exactly understanding what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to give more information out to our peers, so that we can continue to break that stigma. One response we got is that many people saw it as we're supposedly forcing kids into therapy, or quote-unquote trying to fix them. But as all four of the people in our group, we've all gone through therapy. We've been through all of these processes. We've all seen the ugly parts of therapy, the difficult parts, and we've definitely been through a bad therapy experience. And we understand that maybe the number one thing, the most important part of it, was that it was our own choice, and a lot of that was our own autonomy. This was our decision. Even if at first it felt forced, we made the choice to process our emotions and thoughts and trauma for the better. And we really want to be able to share that with others, that making that choice to start letting therapy and using all of this information and these resources that are given to you and start processing them in a way that can start helping you. I think that's what we mostly want to put out to the rest of our peers. Maybe just what's important about taking that first step. Not exactly how or where you should take that first step. It's more of the what and the why.
Domestic violence affects not only the mom or the parent, it also affects the children. Sometimes we talk to parents and they're like, well, my kids didn't see the abuse. We see a lot of bullying, sexting, a lot of things that affect kids, especially with their mental state. Suicide, bulimia, anorexic, all of that stuff.
I do believe that there's something about having a space, a safe space without judgment and a unbiased opinion that offers that ability to start healing, that empathy and unconditional positive regard that comes from what initially is a complete stranger can start that process of healing. And it can be simply being curious about wanting to know yourself a little bit better, and knowing why we act a certain way, or what makes us take certain choices in life, or say certain things, or think certain things. Like, hey, I want to understand myself a little bit better, and I want to go to therapy to figure that out. It's not always about, I have this problem that I want to go fix.
I really think social media has become a big influence on that, but for good and for ill. I think that it's allowed the conversation around mental health in young people to really flourish in a way that certainly wasn't true in my generation and probably even previous generations.
Thankfully, mental health has been destigmatized, and I think we owe that to some younger generations like you guys, so
Absolutely.
Thank you. And still, there's a big stigma about it around there when parents perhaps, are not, don't know much about it, and there may still be a stigma about it that might prevent people from really reaching out to parents or to others. I might get in trouble piece, the shame that sometimes mental health carries. Those being some of them.
Yeah, I think also the culture that we come from plays a part of that too. A lot of cultures, they see mental health therapy, so forth, as like a weakness almost, or like an admission of weakness, and it's doesn't look good for your reputation. So I think that can be a barrier for young people as well. Too many people have to come, especially young people, have to come to therapy, because they got on probation or something like that, and you almost always end up focusing on other parts of their life than what they got into trouble for, because that's what's driving that behavior. And if they had, they were able to access that help, that service earlier, it could have changed a corner for them. And I think maybe a good way of destigmatizing mental health therapy specifically, as opposed to psychology or going to see a psychiatrist, is that it's about wellness more than like going to see a doctor for a health problem. Meaning it's more about health. It's about overall general health. Then, hey, something's wrong with you, and so we gotta, give you some meds, or you have to, say this chant 5 times or whatever. There's no magic spell. It really is about knowing yourself and gaining a larger sense of health and wholeness, which, who couldn't use that, first of all. But also, you don't have to wait until something's wrong. It's not about forcing kids into therapy to get them to be a certain way. It's like any other aspect of health. You know, we exercise for our physical health. We force kids to go to school for their their mental health, or for their intelligence, and for their health in that matter. And this is very much a similar aspect of wholeness. I would also say I'm encouraged that the mental health field in general is really focused on multiculturalism right now, because we're seeing how we can in the past we've tended to box people in ways that kind of try to define them to be like us, the therapists, and that we're really learning and listening to other voices in our field too, to be like, how do we understand people in the wholeness of who they are, instead of just trying to look at them through this lens that we've always kind of looked at people before. And really trying to like broaden our horizons, and how do we understand the complexity of each person when they come to therapy.
I think, well, there's different ways to go about that. One is starting with health insurance, going to your health insurance and seeing what providers are on your panel. Another one is reaching out to your school counselor and starting that way. Another one would be 211. It's a resource that you just dial or really just Google, and they have a ton of different type of resources in the community, one of them being therapy, mental health. Another one is specific to children and adolescents, is the Washoe County Children's Mental Health Consortium. As
a mental health therapist, I would encourage people, like, even if you're like, I don't know if this is a real thing, I don't know if this is really going to help my particular issue, try it out, and you'll probably be surprised at how easy it is to get into it and how helpful it can be, and just to have somebody to talk to you about your problems. Adolescence is hard. It was hard for me too. It's hard for everyone. Anyone that says otherwise, I think, is kidding themselves. So having somebody to talk to you about that, in just a space that is like, I'm not trying to make you do anything, I'm not trying to get you to act like a certain person, it's so helpful. So seek it out, because it's good to get in early. And I hope that it's encouraging. This is encouraging for people, like, hey, maybe I don't have to be scared of mental health services, and it could actually be good for me, even if other people have told me I don't need help. Who doesn't need help?
Thank you so much to Anna de la Maza and Ron Toft from Quest Counseling and Sylvia Gonzalez from the Domestic Violence Resource Center for partnering with our JSL. We'd also like to thank the sophomores and juniors who helped us to create our JSL. We ask that if you or someone you know is in need of help, keep an open mind and reach out. Parents and teachers, it's more important now than ever that you are looking for ways to support your students. Please continue to help us break the mental health stigma. All it takes is knowing and listening to the ones you love.